Started with the No More Uni-Party rally. If everyone in the crowd could move towards front center. Front center, everybody. Let's get everybody front center.
Move on in. Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, everybody. Bunch up front center. Let's get everyone all around here.
You basically need a circle.
Yeah.
Like the tribal meetings that you
Yeah, exactly.
have.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the No More Uni-Party rally. We've got a few housekeeping things to start off with. Number one, we will not be doing an acknowledgement to country. Number two, we will be having 1 minute's silence for two people that have recently passed away in the freedom movement. Number one, John Murphy. It's come to my attention that John Murphy has unfortunately passed away in the last few days. And it also recently, a few weeks ago, came to light that Autumn Baker was a very, very active participant in the freedom movement. It came out publicly that she unfortunately also passed away about 18 months ago. So I'd just like everyone to have a minute's silence for John Murphy and Autumn Baker. Thank you, everybody. May they both rest in peace. Rest in peace, Autumn. Rest in peace, John. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Australians, it is my honour to welcome you to the Australia-wide rally to say no more Uni-Party!
Yeah!
Today, our freedom movement stands together, strong and united, long after the lockdowns have ended. We stay strong, we stay united. We're here today to declare that it is time to put Australia first. Australians must find the courage to demand massive and sweeping change. Australians must find the will to fight for the freedoms that our Anzacs died protecting. Australians must confront the Uni-Party that has worked together in lockstep to damage our nation. And Australians must leverage this upcoming federal election on May the 3rd to say no more Uni-Party! The Liberal and Labor Uni-Party have been exposed as two wings of the same bird. The Liberal and Labor Uni-Party are identical on every single policy that matters. The Liberal and Labor Uni-Party passed hate speech legislation to crack down on Australians' freedom of speech, and they did it together. And the Liberal and Labor Uni-Party must be replaced by new parties that will put Australians first. We have in this country immense challenges with out of control immigration. We have in this country immense challenges with rising crime rates and cost of living pressures. We have in this country immense challenges with housing affordability and government overspending. And we have in this country a growing movement of people who see the overlap between all of these problems. It's time to put Australia first by reducing immigration and easing pressure on the housing supply. It's time to put Australia first by easing regulations and facilitating more residential housing construction. It's time to put Australia first by ensuring that we have a neutral and non-interventionist foreign policy. And it's time to put Australia first by protecting citizens from rising crime rates, unfortunately often committed by migrants. We must push for an overhaul of the Australian state and federal government. We must push for citizen-initiated referendums to return power to the hands of the Australian people. We must push for recall elections to hold our elected representatives accountable to their many, many broken promises. And we must push for an Australian political revolution to end the Uni-Party's vice grip on political power. Our movement believes that individual and economic freedom is essential to human flourishing. Our movement stands for the power of an informed citizenry that actively participates in the political process. Our movement is a broad-based coalition that supports many political parties and independents. And our movement can unite as one with our voting preferences to say no more to the Uni-Party. If you are here today, you are part of the change that we need to see in Australia. If you are here today, you can make an impact on the people around you to make a different choice. If you are here today, you are an existential threat to the Australian Uni-Party complex. And if you are here today, you can become a part of the next generation of leadership in Australia. With new leadership, Australia can tackle our spiralling public debt and deficit spending. With new leadership, Australia can expand our energy infrastructure to end the ban on nuclear power. With new leadership, Australia can defend individual freedom with the right to keep and bear arms. And with new leadership, we can implement an Australian Bill of Rights to protect our freedoms permanently. It's time to mobilise the freedom movement to make sweeping change across this country. It's time to send a message that the Australian people are done with business as usual politics. It's time for our message of freedom to reach millions of voters next Saturday. And it's time once and for all to say no more Uni-Party. We are never going to give up. We are never going to give in. We are the freedom movement. And freedom always wins. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Up next is my great friend, Morgan C. Jonas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harrison. Thanks. You're allowed to clap. That's cool. First of all, I'd just like to say that Harrison over there has been, he has achieved what has actually never been done in this country before. So during the height of COVID, somebody really needed to step up and lead the protest movement. And he was a man who stepped up in ways that has never been done. The numbers at the height of the anti-lockdown protest actually superseded the numbers of the Vietnam War. Harrison facilitated the biggest protests in Australian history, and I just want to recognise him for that and give him a round of applause. And I just wanted to further appreciate Harrison's point regarding our amazing friend John Murphy, who sadly passed away. May his memory be a blessing. And also Autumn Baker, who was very much involved in this movement and put so much time, energy and effort into advocating for the freedoms of regular people. May they both rest in peace and their memories live on in all of our hearts. Okay, so I'm just going to get started. I'm going to make this rather short and sweet. This is going to be more of a practical type of speech as opposed to maybe some speeches you've heard from me throughout the years. So as all of you know, there is a federal election going on right now. And we're at a very special time in history here in Australia where I believe that the political consciousness of the average person has elevated to levels that we have not quite experienced before. There is a greater sense in the public that something is wrong, something needs to change, and the needs of Australians are not being met by the major parties, that is Liberal and Labor, let alone the Greens and the offshoots. Okay? So what this presents is an incredible opportunity to disrupt the status quo in Canberra. This creates an avenue for regular people to get involved and to actually help play a role in seeing the election of minor party candidates to the Senate. Okay, we're not quite there with the lower house. Hopefully we will be in the elections to come. But the strength of a minor party crossbench held by those who legitimately care about this country provides a platform for holding the government to account, which can make all the difference in putting a handbrake on the amount of damage being inflicted on our country and being a voice to influence new legislation or positive amendments to existing legislation or amendments to new bills introduced through the Parliament. This importance cannot be stressed enough. We've already had some success. We saw the election of Senator Ralph Babbitt in the last election cycle, who I think is doing a wonderful job, but we've got an opportunity now to play a role and to make a difference. Now, let me stress that elections are won and lost at the polling booth. Many voters are undecided until they show up to vote and they make their decision in the last minute. So to that end, it is of the utmost highest importance that every single person here volunteers for a minor party of their choice. And when I say minor party, I'm referring to parties on the right, including the Libertarian Party. There are enough people here to man polling booths for an entire federal electorate. And given that we have the power to shape the course of history in our country, I want to strongly encourage every single person here to commit to at least doing that. We have a representative from One Nation here. Thank you for being here. We have several representatives from the Libertarian Party. And let me just say that those two right there are in with a very, very high chance of securing that last Senate spot. Probably the highest chance. Family First is also in with a very high chance. So in saying that, please reach out to these people, give them your name, your phone number, and commit to giving up some time standing on a polling booth, because your participation, as I said, may very well lead to shaping the future of this country in a much more positive light, as opposed to what the trajectory would be without your involvement. Please get involved, do it for our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Morgan. It's 100% agree. People need to definitely think about volunteering for a pro-freedom political party of their choice. Just a quick raise of hands. Who here has volunteered for a pro-freedom party before? Excellent, excellent. And if you haven't volunteered before, definitely think about it. Maybe talk to one of the people that just raised their hands and they can tell you a little bit more about how to get involved. Up next, we'll go to Dr. Christopher Neal from the People First Party. Dr. Christopher Neal, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you, Harrison. Thanks everybody, you can hear me up the back. It's good to see you. Thanks for your commitment coming out today. Now, my name's Chris Neal. I am a doctor, I'm a cardiologist, and if you don't know my story, let me tell it to you briefly. I'm a family man. I've lived in Victoria all my life, and I specialised in cardiology, worked hard in our public system, and by 2020 I could see things were not just broken, that they were dangerously going off course, and by 2021, for me, that meant making a very difficult decision, which I think many of you also would have had to make. I had to take a stand on my bodily autonomy, but it was much more than a personal decision for me when it came to vaccine mandates, and that's because as a society, in enforcing and coercing vaccines on people who did not want them, we were falling back from very hard-won rights and freedoms, such as our ancestors fought and died for. So for me, it was much more than a personal decision. It was a decision to stand with the people. And so part of my way of dealing with that was to start a medical union that's called AMPS, the Australian Medical Professionals Society. I don't know, give me a wave if you've heard about AMPS. So I salute my fellow doctors who joined in that fight, because you know something, the most disruptive thing you can do in a system which continually divides and conquers is to unite. And so we united our voice. For me, that was a very costly decision. I was unable to work for 2 full years, but in that time, my way of dealing with that was to get out there, to use my voice to write, to advocate for ethics in healthcare, among many other issues. That journey for me led me back and forth to Canberra, to Parliament House, to work with many politicians on different sides of the aisle. And I learnt a lot going into that environment. What I learnt is that there are many elected representatives whose job it is to listen to you, to understand the issues, and to advocate for you, who actually do know what's going on. I estimate, just to tell the story, that I saw between 30 and 40 one-on-one politicians, elected representatives, predominantly in the coalition, both at state and federal levels. And they knew the message already, because they already knew our concerns and actually agreed with them. Do you understand what I'm saying? They already knew. What they lacked was not knowledge so much as courage. We need to send much better politicians to work for we the people to Canberra, and we need to do that urgently. And as you've just heard, we've got a chance to do that now. We need to send much better politicians to Canberra who will consistently put us first in any policy decision. And so I am encouraged. Yes, we've got a long way to go. Yes, we're still facing actually an existential threat to our way of life. If we let the Uni-Party continue in an undisrupted manner, they will continue to make decisions which put them first and consolidate their current grip on power. And we all know that. We know that they will put global interests ahead of national interests and the interests of individual Australians. Part of my candidacy, why I am standing up with People First Party, Gerard Rennick People First, is to give the people of Victoria a chance to send a doctor to Parliament. If I go on behalf of the Victorian people, I go with a strong mandate to make sure you are protected in any matter of health policy. And someone just in the crowd is holding up a sign regarding the World Health Organization. On the 19th of July this year, that's a very short space of time away, the WHO IHRs, that's the International Health Regulations, as they've been amended, will kick into force in Australia. That will potentially put Australia and health governance in Australia under bureaucratic control from Geneva. That will be the case despite a complete lack of consultation with the Australian people, and in addition, a complete lack of debate at any level in Australian politics, and I can say that absolutely objectively, having gone to Parliament House on that issue. What I can say is if I am elected, I will raise the profile of that issue to be very prominent and to blow the whistle on what's going on, because Australians need to be having self-determination when it comes to health policy, and we can't be put at risk by people who are not accountable to us at the electoral office, at the ballot box. I can also promise that if I am sent to Canberra, I will go with a mandate to hold the politicians, the government accountable for past decision making, namely the pandemic, but beyond that as well. And going forward, I will absolutely protect we, the people, from future health policy which would put us in a situation of being discriminated against, harmed financially, or segregated as we once were. Not only that, I stand for a free and a prosperous Australia, and we must send politicians to Canberra who will actually want to build this nation and not be complicit in the managed decline of this nation, which we've now seen for decade upon decade. So our future depends very much on us coming together. Beyond the election, I can promise you this also, that I'll always work for unity. I'll always work for unity so that we come together as a much stronger option for the people of Australia, whether it's in the field of parties or in any other area. So I thank you again for listening. Thank you for your support. Thank you for volunteering. I echo that if you haven't already, you should volunteer for the Freedom Party of your choice and make a difference. Never give up. There is always hope. Never give up. And keep going. Because we owe it to our ancestors, and we certainly owe it to our children. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Neil. Up next, we've got Luke from Celebrate Australia. Take it away, Luke.
Thank you. How's it going there, everybody? Look, just bear with me. I haven't had much sleep the last couple of days since the dawn service, but look, we're just a small group of people from Celebrate Australia that decided to start a group to try and restore our national pride and patriotism. And what's happened, as we all know, the last few years, all that's been downgraded through this, woke governments that are trying to demonise any kind of public national identity which promotes our people, right? So we've how much longer are we going to be patronised with this whole welcome to country garbage? I think the sentiment yesterday at the dawn service showed that, right? I mean, silently we're all agreeing with what actually happened yesterday at the dawn service, right? We're sick of being patronised at every sporting event, and with our Celebrate Australia group, our complete aim was, when we started, was to try and bring back the Australia Day parade on Australia's National Day. Obviously last year what had happened, as we all know, and the last few years, the governments have stopped celebrating our National Day, and they've allowed a group of people that hate Australia to promote their causes. Right? We're against that. We're going to try and bring back our National Day. We're going to have the Australia Day parade. This year we had a successful day in St Kilda. We had about 500 people turn up. Next year, still a long way away, we're going to have it in the city, and we really hope that you can all support us, get behind it, spread the word, because we want as many people as there as possible, because we need you guys to help us to do it, because without numbers, we're not going to be even noticed. All right, let's bring Australia Day back. Let's bring the parade back, and we're going to have events throughout the year as well, and just follow us and share all of our content as well. All right, so get behind us and support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. That's Luke from Celebrate Australia, everybody. They're putting together an Australia Day parade next year. Look out for that one. We'll be supporting it at Melbourne Freedom Rally. Up next, we've got our closing speaker. He's just on the phone, so I'm going to stall for time for a couple of minutes. If anyone wants to keep up to date with the events that Melbourne Freedom Rally is going to be doing, you can head to our Telegram channel, t.me/Melbourne Freedom Rally. We're also on Facebook, We're also on X as well. You may have seen some of the videos that we've been doing at Melbourne Freedom Rally, including my encounter with Anthony Albanese. Who here saw that video? So for those of you who didn't see this video, I bumped into Anthony Albanese in Park Hyatt Hotel, and I'm going to tell you the question that I asked him. I said, Mr. Albanese, I have a question for you on behalf of hundreds of thousands of Australians who can't afford housing. And then a bunch of his security team came around and blocked me from trying to access it. And he turned around and he gave me this hand flick. You might have seen the hand flick. And then I asked him an important question. Mr. Anthony Albanese, when are you going to put Australians first? And he refused to answer the question. It's very disappointing. Very disappointing. And then I was sort of pushed out of the way. Then, a couple of nights later, I managed to, let's just say, walk into another event by a certain teal independent. Have you guys heard of Monique Ryan around here? What do we think of the teals, guys? Ooh. Who here's heard of Climate 200? They're not independent. They're funded by Climate 200, guys. They're just as bad as the Greens. It's important that everybody puts the Greens last. It's important that everybody puts the Teals last. And it's important that everybody puts Labor last. So before we finish up for today, we'll go to our closing speaker, and that is Libertarian Senate candidate Jordan Ditloff. Give it up for Jordan, everybody.
The hour is later than you know. We are running out of time. When I say that we're running out of time, I'm not just talking about the time between now and 3rd of May, when you'll have your final opportunity to cast your ballot, and when we'll decide and find out the outcome of this election in 2025. What I mean when I say we're running out of time is that we're running out of time to avoid the fate that we're seeing unfold in Europe, to avoid the fate that we're seeing unfold in the UK, to avoid the fate that the US only avoided because of the strength of its constitutional protections and its Bill of Rights, which we do not enjoy by any stretch of the imagination. We have politicians who treat us with such contempt that not only do they dismiss Harrison with a wave of the hand and say, "Go away, peasants," they dismiss Sky News, they dismiss journalists. Questions asked of them that are off script, that are outside of their media caravan and convoy, are treated and called disruptions to the campaign. That is the essence of what campaigning should be. I've been on the campaign trail for the last 13 months. By 3rd of May, I will have been 13 months and a half on the campaign trail. And I've been doing that not only because I want to show all of you what kind of senator I'll be if I'm elected, but because that's what it takes, because I want to see and hear and listen to the struggles of everyday Australians. I'm speaking with people who run food banks, who are seeing middle-class families with children in school coming and taking advantage of charity food aid. I'm speaking with real estate agents who say that we have 1% vacancy in our rental markets. We are seeing what will only become worse, and that is a recession that cannot be avoided or deferred, even through the mass migration settings that are simply seeking to keep GDP high. The bubble will soon burst, and it will probably be within the next 3 years. We are staring down the barrel of the second term of the worst government Australia has ever had, only because we also have the worst opposition that Australia has ever had. When I started this campaign, as an ex-Liberal Party member, I was determined that I was going to help drag the Liberal Party and Peter Dutton government, if elected, back towards a principled centre, towards the Menzies We Believe statement. A couple of weeks ago, about in between the first and second leaders' debate, I realised that the Liberal Party doesn't need reform, it doesn't need improvement, it needs to be replaced. Yes. And that's easy to say. But to do that, to achieve anything like what the Reform Party's achieved in the UK, to achieve what Trump achieved in 2024, the work needs to begin now. I'm not even going to stand here and talk to you about policy, because as you've all seen through many events that have happened over the past couple of months in particular, there is a lot of overlap. Many of the parties that you might be considering voting for share common ground in many important respects. There are differences, and there are enough differences that competition and individual party status remaining needs to happen. But there are many areas on which we can cooperate. So I'm not going to talk about policy to you today. Instead, I'm going to talk to you about the practical realities, what it will take to be in a position in 2028 to start winning lower house seats, not just getting a support for freedom minor parties on the crossbench, but winning lower house seats, which is what needs to happen in 2028 to start the process of providing Australians with a viable alternative to the coalition. Because mark my words, the lesson that Peter Dutton and the Liberal Party take from their loss in about 1 week's time will not be the lesson that blind Freddie could see, or that all of us could see. It will not be that at every opportunity when Peter Dutton had the choice between what was convenient and what was principled, he chose what was convenient. That will not be the lesson they take. The lesson they will take will be that they need to be more the Diet Coke to Labor's Coke. They will take the lesson that they need to be more moderate, more populist, more weak and unprincipled. That is the lesson the Liberal Party will take, I can promise you. As disappointing as Dutton has been, you don't know the depths of disappointment that can come and that will come in 2028. The next leaders that are behind Dutton will make us miss Dutton. And I can guarantee you guys don't think that's possible now, whether you're here or at home. You don't think that in 3 years' time you're going to be thinking, geez, wasn't it good when we had Peter Dutton as opposition leader? But I can promise you that you will. Because I didn't think I would feel that way about Tony Abbott, and I now do. I didn't think I would feel that way about Scott Morrison. And even now, watching this campaign unfold and watching the pathological inability to act in their own best interest displayed by the Liberal Party, I miss Scott Morrison, and I never ever thought I would say that. So mark my words, in 3 years' time, we will look back on this election and think, oh, we thought it couldn't get any worse, but it will. So what it's going to take is for day one after the new Senate is announced, and if I'm successful at being elected to the Senate, from day one of that being confirmed, before the Senate sits, there's a 2-month gap. The Senate doesn't sit until July. That's not time for a holiday. You don't need to wait to start doing what needs to be done. I'm not going to be waiting and standing on ceremony if I'm elected. On day one, the moment the new Senate is announced, the moment that button gets pushed, I'm going to be picking up the phone. I'm going to be making phone calls. And you know that I will because I've already done it. We've got a joint ticket in New South Wales for the first time in Australian history. 3 parties, Libertarian, Heart, and People First, Gerard Rennick's People First, on a united 3-party coalition ticket, 1 line, 1 column in the Senate. That is as a result of my hard work over the last 2 years and the Freedom Summit that we're able to pull together at the last minute prior to this election. That conversation needs to start immediately after this election for 2028. We need Senate tickets with freedom-aligned minor parties all around Australia in every state, and it needs to be organised 2 years to 18 months out to be effective. I have already shown a track record of a preparedness to work with other parties, of a willingness to sit down and listen, to break bread and find common ground. That's not hypothetical, that's already happened. And it's happened with very little time because other parties besides the Libertarian Party weren't in a position to start thinking that far ahead. But we need to make that happen. When it comes to what else needs to happen, we also need to be looking at being proactive. We need to be not just waiting for bad legislation to come to the Senate, because by the time it comes to the Senate, the numbers are already done, 9 times out of 10. The best defence is a good offence, and we need to be on the front foot. We need to be holding these legislators and regulators and experts to account in Senate estimates. I'm 38, I'm young, I'm hungry. I am the generation that's suffering as a result of the last 20 years of political negligence and lack of leadership. I know what it's like to be in the middle of the housing crisis, to want accommodation, to want to have that future to protect and conserve. I know what it's like to think that I might be raising and bringing kids into a world where they're going to be worse off than the generations before them for the first time in living history. That's an indictment that we should all be far angrier about than we are. But the biggest thing, the biggest reason that you need a libertarian voice, that you need me in the Senate, is that I'm not going to view being in the Senate and voting on hopeless bills where the numbers are stacked against us as the main game. No. The most important thing about a Freedom Party senator from Victoria, a minor right party from Victoria winning a Senate seat, is to use that platform to educate, to shine a spotlight on the corruption, on the swamp, on the waste that is in Canberra, that if more Australians understood what it looked like, how wasteful, how obscene it is when we're struggling at home, they would be far, far angrier than they are. And that's the missing link. That's what will take these numbers we have now to 10, 100 times more. And I'll finish on this. If you're at home, if you're watching this now or afterwards, we have 7 days left. The next 7 days are, without exaggeration, the most important 7 days in the political history of this country. We need you to be getting off the couch, to be getting away from the keyboard, to be going out to polling booths on election day, even if you don't have anything with you, even if you aren't able to get onto one of your representatives from the minor parties. Just go, make yourself known, grab some how to vote cards and make change for this country. So on Saturday the 3rd of May, we might not be able to defeat this terrible Albanese government, but we can lay the foundations for defeating it in 2028 and defeating the useless, corrupt Liberal Party to boot. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. And that's pretty much it for the speakers that we've got today. Give us a round of applause for all of the speakers. Thank you, everybody. Let's go to some music, and then we'll get ready to start marching. So if you check the marching route graphic, that's where we're going to be marching. We're going to go past Parliament House, Flinders Street Station, then we're going to come back here, and then we'll finish up from there. So get ready to start marching, and we'll prep everything that we need on our end. Thank you, everybody.